Imagine if one day animals built their own country. A parliament would rise in the heart of the forest, and a flag would wave proudly in the sky. Everything would begin with a grand assembly. Birds would watch from above. Fish would listen from beneath the water. The crowd would chant, "Justice, equality, and fresh fruit for all." Of course, the Prime Minister would be the lion, because in every meeting he's already the one who starts speaking first. With his powerful voice, he'd step up to the podium and declare, "We shall roar together." But sometimes he roared so loudly that he didn't need a microphone. Instead of clapping, the others would cover their ears. Still, everyone knew when he spoke, silence was a sign of respect. The Minister of Defense would be the crocodile. An expert at guarding borders, his teeth alone were enough to keep danger away. But during negotiations, you'd better not get too close to his face, because when he smiled, no one could tell, was it friendly or a warning? The Minister of Finance would be the ant. He'd count every single grain, saying, "One day we might need it." He took the budget so seriously that he'd sometimes put aside a single seed as an emergency fund. He loved saving, but you rarely saw him in meetings because he was usually under everyone's desk, working. The Minister of Health would be the owl. On duty at night, writing reports during the day. "Rest is important," he'd say, though he never actually rested. Everyone came to him for advice. "Professor Owl, I have dark circles," and he'd reply, "So do I, but mine come from experience." The police department would be made up of dogs, loyal, hard-working, disciplined to the nose. They'd even stop speeding turtles in traffic. But sometimes, because their tails wagged too much, their reports were written a little late. The Minister of Education would be the elephant. "Knowledge is never forgotten," he'd say. He'd teach a lesson once, but never finish the class until everyone understood. "Patience is also a form of knowledge," he'd add. Some students would graduate still listening to the same topic. The Minister of Foreign Affairs would be the parrot. He spoke every language, sometimes 5 at once. He never needed to ask, "Can you repeat that?" because he was already repeating everyone's sentences instantly. That alone made him a master of diplomacy. The Minister of Environment would be the turtle. "Move slowly, but take the right step," he'd say. His projects might take time, but never failed. "It's not the fast one who wins," he'd remind them. "It's the patient one." And finally, me. As the professor of forest economics, I'd say, the currency of this nation would be balance. Because in that land, no matter how strong, smart, or slow one was, everyone had to move in harmony with nature's rhythm. If animals built a country, perhaps laws would be written on tree bark, and meetings would be held in the shade, but everyone would know this truth: the law of the forest is fair, because every voice echoes within it.